Jets 31, Giants 27. Welcome to Talking Giants presented by SeatGeek. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick, and we're going to wrap up this preseason finale for you. We didn't get to claim preseason championships like we got to in 2019. We didn't get to win the MetLife Bowl. But I'd say this was a successful preseason, besides injuries, Justin. We're going to break down everything from this game, talk about maybe some roster stuff for Tuesday. How you feeling after we... Davis Webb couldn't pull off that magic at the end.
Bobby Skinner, Patreon chat, producer Julian with us too. Don't care that we couldn't win. Preseason doesn't matter. Ready for week 1 for Tennessee. I'm going to Nashville. I extended my trip by a couple days because the flights were very, very expensive, but don't care that we're not undefeated in the preseason. I'm ready for the real thing, ready to see what this 53-man roster is going to be like, ready to see the chaos that is going to ensue, because hopefully we're getting some better secondary players, maybe a swing tackle, maybe whoever else. Bobby Skinner, let's talk about it. I didn't really learn anything new about this football team from this game. Like, I don't have like a huge, like, big takeaway from the game, but obviously there are still some things to talk about. How are you, Bobby?
Yeah, there's definitely some good stuff to talk about, even if it's confirming things that maybe the first 2 games maybe lied to us about certain players. Like we could talk about Devery Hamilton. Like, okay, let's come back down to earth. Maybe he's not the swing tackle. So I'm good. Obviously wanted to win that one, but I am excited for week 1. I don't know why. Maybe it's because this offense looked functional during the preseason that like I'm actually really excited for week 1 of the regular season, even though we're gonna. We're going to win. We're not going to lose. I'm never going to say we're going to lose.
I'm not traveling to Nashville to lose. You know that,
exactly.
Right?
So before we get into this episode, before we talk about Kenny Golladay and all that's going on around him, this episode was brought to you by Hank Wolf. I love King of the Hill. I know it's Hank Hill, but not Hank Wolf, but I actually had a clip saved to my phone. Very funny. James Spatafora, he's Italian. Travis Taylor, I don't know why, but my head just goes to Travis Rudolph, who Julian was an accomplice to in something, and then Die John. Speaking of Travis Rudolph, Die John. Justin, who are these people?
Any relation to Ryson John?
Yeah, actually.
Patreon.com/Talking Giants. $2 a month plus some other tiers. You get to hang out with us live while we record the shows like we're doing right now for a game recap. You want to be hanging out with us after the week 1 game, after you're going to want to celebrate Victory Monday with us. Bobby Skinner will send us some stickers, magnets in the mail. They'll send you, and then twice a month there's some shirt raffles. Patreon.com/Talking Giants. Thanks to our patrons.
All right, let's talk about the thing that's on most people's mind that actually has to do with week 1 of the Giants regular season, and that's Kenny Golladay.
Ooh.
I want to ask you, because I have some things on Kenny Golladay. I have some things that I'm very critical of him on. But I'm also not going to just criticize him because he has a big contract, and he had 1 catch in preseason and wasn't really targeted in preseason. What are your thoughts going into week 1, Kenny Golladay?
I almost think it's so complicated, man. It's so complicated because he did have 51 snaps, 1 reception, 6 yards on 4 targets during the preseason. He had a year last year where Daniel Jones just didn't really seem to look his way. And anytime he really did look his way, it was in situations where it wasn't exactly like Kenny Galladay's biggest strength. Mini posts. Like that was Kenny Galladay's bread and butter. And I think like those plays can be successful for him this year. I don't know, man. I think he's going to be the 3rd option in this offense. Flat out. Even when Kadarius Toney is not healthy and not there. Saquon Barkley is going to be an option that's over him. Wandale/Shep is going to be an option over him. I think he's going to be the 3rd option in this offense, and that's how I feel about him heading into this year.
I think a healthy Shep would probably be ahead of, because Shep really does fit this offense to a T. The being smart in your route running, using leverage the correct right way, breaking stuff off at the right time. So I do think Shep. And I guess you could say Saquon. Right now, if you ask me who gets more catches this year, Saquon or Kenny Golladay, I might. But I don't view that as necessarily like the option in the receiving game. So I do view him as essentially the 2, and with Toney. But here's where I want to say. The things that Kenny Golladay should be criticized for, that drop in week 1 of the preseason game. Should not have dropped it. Can't have that. in a game, in a regular season game, that's literally the difference of 7 and 3 points. That's huge. This is a team that does not have that margin for error. So those are the things. I think he needs to be more consistent and better at the release of his routes when he's got guys, playing closer to the line of scrimmage on him. That's, there was a play week 2 versus the Bengals where he was supposed to run a post and Wandale was running a wheel and he has to release inside and he gets muddied up and doesn't release inside. You're too big to not be able to get that release the way you want to. I'm not expecting, Justin Jefferson footwork king type moves out of Kenny Golladay, but you should be able to get the right leverage off the line of scrimmage. But here's the thing I'm not going to say is I'm tired of the effort thing with Kenny Golladay. Like, there was a run blocking play today that it got over 1 million views.
It wasn't even a run. It was a pass.
It was an RPO. And it was an RPO, and you cannot block downfield on an RPO. And listen, and honestly, 8 times out of 10, RPOs are thrown. They're very rarely handed the ball off. But guess what? What led to it looking so bad was that not only was it handed it off, Matt Breida bounced it outside the numbers. So on this play, Kenny Galladay's job is to just get inside, wall him off, wall the DB off, because you can't block him downfield. And that run is supposed to go inside and wall him off. Now Breida, even though he only had 3 carries for 1 yard, Breida probably got more yards by bouncing it. I think he got 4 yards than he did keeping it inside. But obviously, Matt Breida runs into the guy that Kenny Golladay was assigned for. But Kenny Golladay is just walling him off towards the line of scrimmage or towards the sideline. That's all he's supposed to do. That's not a bad effort play by Kenny Golladay. And that's not pointed out to me as a Giants fan. People all over that cover the NFL pointed that out because Warren Sharp tweets out dumb stuff all the time. So everyone's always dunking on Warren Sharp. And that was an example of it. And I'll say, he had 1 catch. Well, when was he targeted? Tell me, they threw all these back shoulders.
Well, I think that's the issue, Bobby. You're talking about his lack of ability to separate and things like that. The dude just may not be open. And I'm saying may not be open. Okay.
But also, a lot of the stuff in the preseason, because they are running their basic stuff, has been either clear out, and they didn't get, they throw back shoulders to guys. He didn't get the back shoulder opportunities. He didn't get those balls thrown to him. So, and you know what? He would have had today a nice 20-yard reception if that player doesn't intercept the ball from Tyrod Taylor. Because guess what? He was meant to clear the space out on that play. He was not meant to be a part of the progression. He clears out. He gets off the line of scrimmage very fast. And then he fights back to the ball with good effort, and the ball gets intercepted. But if that guy's not there, and the guy that tricked Tyrod Taylor, that's a 20-yard 3rd and 13 conversion for Kenny Golladay. So what I'm saying is, there's definitely things to be worried about with Kenny Golladay. And like you said, part of it is the targets. But also, I'm holding out a lot of judgment for this until week 1, until you're actually game planning stuff. So I'm not ready to just go all out on Kenny Golladay. If the first 3 weeks of the season look like this, and it's like Kenny Golladay is just not part of the progression and it's not working with this offense, then yeah. But I'm also not going to work when they're using their basics, and half the time Kenny Golladay is the clear out on a progression.
I'm interested to see the snap share too, because there were times where Kenny Golladay and Kadarius Toney, they were off the field last year, and we're scratching our heads on these post-game recaps being like, why the hell on a 3rd and 7 is Kenny Golladay off the field? Now, with this coaching staff, I already trust them a lot more simply just because of the stuff that we've seen in the preseason. They're moving the ball and the conceptual stuff. But if Kenny Golladay is coming off the field on these passing downs and name whatever wide receiver is going to make the roster is going in, hey, 2 coaching staffs, it may be a reflection on Kenny Golladay. But I'm with you. I'm going to save most of my major judgments on how I really feel about Kenny Golladay until you game plan to include Kenny Golladay in an actual game. Because, clearly, Kenny Golladay is a receiver that's just not naturally going to get open, get all this separation, and la-di-la-di-da. He's a guy that you have to... No, never was. And that's not, again, it's not a critique on him. It's just he's never been that kind of wide receiver. You kind of have to force him the ball and get him the ball in those tight kind of little situations. So, let's see it week 1. But if it's... This training camp in this summer has made me a lot more concerned, and I am definitely no longer on Kenny Golladay is going to have the season that we thought that he would have last year. I'm definitely not on that train. So
that's fair. But I will like Duggan counted all the receptions with the first team and all these practices. Kenny Golladay had the most. Now other guys weren't on the field, but like we got to give Golladay for credit for being on the field. So it's just,
and we have seen more Kenny Golladay like receptions and catch and big catch tweets since we inevitably, of course, the public has not been in those practices.
And we saw them while we were there too. There wasn't a lot of them, but we did see them there too.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting. I'll be ready to grab my pitchfork on Kenny Golladay, but I'm not there yet. So that's wrong. And I will say Brian Dable's not helping him when he doesn't nip a headline in the bud. Just say Kenny Golladay is going to be on the roster, and that's people got mad at me because I said Brian Dable's bad at media. It wasn't just about this tweet. It's like it's been kind of a pattern, and and again at the same time, media doesn't. How you handle the media doesn't matter. Unless you're, like wins and losses are what matters. When you're winning, like, so right now, does anyone come at Brian Dable for the way he handles me? No. But if they lose, they will. So at the end of the day, it's not a big deal, but I just wish he would get better at taking a headline and nipping it in the bud, because there's been a few circumstances where it's like, you just got to understand that these reporters are looking for headlines, and a lot of their questions are leading and trying to get a headline out of you.
Which, like, Jordan asked that question of Kenny Golladay not being on the roster. Kenny Golladay is going to be on the roster.
Like, yes, is that a dumb question by Jordan? Yes, Kenny Golladay is going to be on the roster. But you got to see that and be like, he's looking for you to get some type of non-committal answer on Kenny Golladay. But again, that's not really a big deal at all.
All right,
if
Bobby,
we start losing and stuff like that, it'll be a big deal.
Before we talk about the rest of the offense, can I talk about a problem that you might want to nip in the butt?
But yes.
Bud, I say butt. ED, erectile dysfunction. It's not fun.
Oh, you're reading an ad. I was like, where is he going with this?
Oh, yeah. Danny King, fun fact, texted us before the game, said, can't do Talking Giants tweets today. I have something to do with the school newspaper. I think he was lying. I think he had Roman. He used promo code Giants. He used promo code World to get $10 off his first order. He was boning some girls in his room today. How do you like that? Lied to us. Just flat out lied. So, Roman swipes. That's what also Danny King was using. They're clinically proven to help you last longer in bed. There's no prescription needed. PE treatments are safe, effective, and used by millions of men, included Danny King today in his dorm room. There is free 2-day shipping. Also love how it's discreet as well. I live in an apartment complex. Danny King lives in a college dorm, so when he gets his packages, they're nice and discreet. Not everybody knows that maybe you're struggling with some ED, which is fantastic. Roman, men's health overall, not just ED, helps control your testosterone, gets that in order. You can go to GetRoman.com/world today, and if approved, you'll get $10 off your first order. That's GetRoman.com/world. GetRoman.com/world. You'll be glad you did. I think I took a Bobby Skinner line. Remember you added "you'll be glad you did" to another ad read?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Wow.
All right, let's talk about the rest of the offense. Tyrod Taylor got injured. Not good to see that. Dable says it's not serious, but also
he got his bell rung.
Yeah. He hurt his back.
Got his back rung.
He went 2 for 4, 29 yards, 7.3 yards per attempt, and then the interception. But he also had that run for 15 yards. I think this preseason and this game in particular has kind of given people, this is who Tyrod Taylor is. Like, I know people, and I don't expect people to go and actually watch Tyrod Taylor games over the last 4 years, but this has been what he is, and that's why he's a backup quarterback, a good backup QB, but he is a backup QB because there was pressure, and you could see he kind of broke down in pressure. But also with that, you see the things that makes him a good backup QB. Where on the play where he got injured, he escaped, and you had a 25-yard pass to Daniel Bellinger down the sideline. That stuff. When there was some type of miscommunication on a RPO, he escapes and turns it into a 15-yard run. So you see the good, but you also see like, hey, when the pressure's there, Taylor can kind of break down a little bit, and then he had that interception that wasn't good either. So I don't want to stress on Tyrod Taylor much, but that's just kind of what it is, and I really hope he's healthy because as much fun as Davis Webb has been, I don't want to go to Davis Webb if Daniel Jones goes down in the first couple weeks or something.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. I don't think Tyrod Taylor deserves the most of hate because just that line that they were playing today is not very good. And I think that Jets front seven is pretty scary when you got Quinnen Williams.
They sent some pressure at him too.
That one sack that he took. Oh, they sent like Wig Martindale like numbers at Tyrod Taylor. That Clemens dude is going to be a problem.
That actually was maybe his second worst play because they sent an extra rusher. He has to throw hot there to Burrito. I forgot to mention that. But anyways.
Call him out. That Clemens dude, Michael Clemens, is going to be a problem for the New York Jets. So, all right, Kenny Golladay, get better, my friend.
You mean Tyrod Taylor?
No, what did I say? Kenny Golladay, get better too.
You get better too. Davis Webb, an astounding 79% completion percentage on 38 throws for 5.3 yards per attempt. Like, to have that high of a completion percentage and that low of a yards per attempt is truly like impressive. But Webb is a guy who's been in this offense. He knows where everyone's going to be. He knows how to run it. So, but again, he's our third string QB. I really don't feel like spending much time on him. He's
an electric factory.
Yeah, he's a fun preseason player.
Did you see the hand motions he was doing after the Corbin touchdown?
Yeah, it was very good. I clipped it.
He's an electric factory.
So that was Davis Webb is a fun player. Let's talk about the running backs.
Sure.
I think Gary Brightwell's making the team. He returned kicks. He only got 2 carries in the game for 11 yards. Like, he probably had one of the better carries in the. Corbin had one really good one, but like Brightwell did well with his 2 carries. Do you think Gary Brightwell's making this team?
No, because the numbers don't make sense.
But he's returning kicks.
I mean, how do you define make the team means that he's suiting up for week 1, right? Not just after the 53-man cutdown day. They want to see if they can stash him on the practice squad. He's here initially.
No, on the initial 53-man roster.
No, I don't think so. We never saw him. Did we even see him return kicks when we were at camp? We don't really pay attention to special teams because
CJ Board got hurt, though.
CJ Board got hurt. Richie James is only a punt returner for some reason.
Yeah, just all I'm saying is pay attention when guys are returning kicks, because that usually can give, and also like he didn't get a ton of carries. Like Deshaun Corbin only got 6, but he got a lot of he didn't get a lot of reps. So which
that
made
would
me
really
think
suck if Matt Breida or Antonio Williams has to be cut simply because they want Gary Brightwell to play special teams. I know playing
they could
a
keep
kick
4
returner,
backs. They don't have a fullback.
I don't know, man.
I'm not even saying like I think Breida's going to make the team. Breida could be a surprise cut, honestly, but nothing's forecasted that. But that could be one where it's like, hey, he didn't practice. So that could be a surprise cut, even though I don't see it happening. Antonio Williams got just murdered today. I mean, just
rest in peace.
I have not seen like a guy running. I've never seen a guy getting running the ball get hit like that in a long time. Like, when's the last time we've seen a running back get hit like we've seen wide receivers get set up or tight ends get? When's the last time we saw a running back just
didn't see him coming? I mean, they just didn't brace for it. Couldn't even run low.
He broke that tackle and he didn't have great balance, and he lowered his shoulder and just Quan Alexander just fucked him up. Like, it was brutal.
Brian Dable immediately, on my second watch of the game, Brian Dable immediately sees his player get murdered on the football field and then turns to Gary Brightwell, points at him and says, "Get in." Like, it was, you could see it on like even the condensed version of the broadcast. It was very, very funny.
Deshaun Corbin, who's going to be a guy who goes to the practice squad most likely. He's been a nice pass catching back.
Yeah, even run north and south today. What did he have? What are yards per attempt?
3.8. So he hasn't really put up much. Like, I think his rush yards per carry for the whole preseason are less than 4, which is not good.
And one of the things that I think we said in our UDFA review of him, Bobby, was that he didn't really have that burst. Like, I think he was going to be an efficient back, maybe get some yards after contact, but didn't really have that burst. And I feel like if Corbin had that burst, like, we would be maybe having a little bit of a different conversation right now about this running back depth chart. But he just doesn't have that burst.
Yeah, and he's a little smaller guy too, as well. So I don't have much on the. So let's talk about offensive line.
Sure.
So the only guy I really want to talk about is Devery Hamilton. He played left tackle the whole game. I was hoping he'd get some guard, but I guess you couldn't because of the numbers that you had. He didn't.
They could have put Roy and Batika out there, which they have been doing the first 2 preseason games to see Devery Hamilton at guard, but they didn't.
And Batika wasn't good last week in the second half, but I'm surprised he went through a whole second half without it being like noticeably really bad.
Yeah, good for him.
He didn't play today. But the Giants, swing tackle is going to be something they have to address, and I don't even know if it's going to be through the waiver wire. I think it might have to be like you bring in a vet on the men. And I brought up Mike Remmers as an example. It doesn't have to be Mike Remmers, but somebody like that, like a guy who's been in the league, has been a free agent, hasn't got that call. And like I don't know if there's going to be any good swing tackles being cut, and I don't think we should be trading draft capital really for anybody during this like we did last year.
There's a certain bald-headed man or nearly bald-headed man out there who played for the Giants at one point. Walter Payton Man of the Year. Yeah, with you. That's one of the things that I'm watching. You know, as early next week comes around and what the Giants do, if guys are added, whatever. So, yes, the Giants desperately need a swing tackle. John Feliciano played the entire first quarter. Julian.
What about Alex Leatherwood? We traded for them. What would you guys think?
I wouldn't trade anything for him.
No.
I wouldn't trade anything for any backup offensive lineman. We did that last year.
He could get cut, too, honestly.
Yeah, if he's cut, like he'd be on, like take a waiver claim on him. Like he could be better. Like he can play tackle or guard. I don't know how well the Raiders have developed him. You know, moving him around all the time. But yeah, reunite him with Evan Neal. But that's definitely a guy. Like I this year I'm going to be looking at all the cuts and be like, there's got to be somebody out there that we're looking for.
Yeah.
Honestly, none of the other offensive linemen I have notes on because Bredesen, Lemieux, and Azudu didn't play, so I just don't have any notes on those guys because their starter and their 2 backups and essentially their 3rd backup on the interior and Devery Hamilton all didn't play on the interior.
Yeah. Jamil Douglas, I thought I actually looked somewhat good at certain plays, so I'm moving some guys,
really
opening up some holes, really bad on some plays. That's Jamil Douglas. Still boggles my mind that I think he may make the team over Max Garcia, but we'll see.
I don't think that should happen. I don't know what the deal is, but I just don't think that should happen. Like Max Garcia should be on the team before Jamil Douglas. Other stuff on the offense, and then we're kind of going bang, bang, bang through this. Do you think Darius Slayton's a New York Giant on Tuesday at 4 o'clock?
Yes. Yes,
I do.
So? Mm-hmm. If he's hurt, then sit him. Why is Darius Slayton getting this treatment that he's playing? And I guess they are limiting his reps. And I've been sitting here saying, why is Darius Slayton's reps being limited? And I just, Patricia Trania on our interview was like, he's hurt. And I'm like, I didn't know he was hurt.
Well, he got hurt in that week 1 game, and he came back to practice last week. Some of the reporters asked him, and he basically said he wouldn't be surprised if he's not. He said, if it's meant for me to be here, I'll be here. If it's not, I won't. I think for him, should get a fresh start. But for us, I really hope they get some draft capital out of that, man. There's got to be, if Ben Bredesen could get some draft capital, if Billy Price can get draft capital and BJ Hill, I just feel like some team's there's got to be a team out there willing to bite on Darius Slayton. There's got to be.
I've seen this point, and I've said it over and over again. Like, yeah, I've been done with Darius Slayton at certain points. I mean, the drops are really, really bad, and then you look at he's one of the worst in the NFL at separating. He's one of the worst in the NFL at yards after the catch per reception. The only reason why he's able to be calculated in those metrics is because he actually qualifies in those metrics with enough targets. A guy like David Sills, and we were talking about Bachman, even though it's a different position, Board and Colin Johnson, all these guys. Like, the reason why those guys aren't able to be compared to Darius Slayton in metrics like yards after the catch per reception and separation is because they just don't play in the NFL enough. Darius Slayton has played in the NFL, and he's had some sort of success, even though it was his rookie year, and he did lead the team in like receptions and yards like the last 2 years. So Darius Slayton may be a bad player, but he's not a bum, and I really hope that he's on this team because depth.
Yeah, and he's better than David Sills. Like, that has to be said at this point. Like he is flat out better than David Sills. I know people are excited about David Sills in the preseason and stuff, but he is better than David Sills. Yeah. So if Kenny Golladay goes hurt and Sterling Shepard's hurt in a week, then we're going to be rolling out there with Tony or, switch what, pick your injury. If we have 2 of those top 3 wide receivers hurt, you're having Wan'Dale, who's I don't think is going to jump onto the season and be the scene and be great. I really don't think he's going to be.
His first big positive play today
on a reverse, which is like that's awesome, that's cool, but that's not what I'm like looking to see from Wan'Dale Robinson right now. So then you're going to have David Sills, Shepard, Tony, and then Wan'Dale in the slot. That's what's going to happen at some point, and that's not a good receiving. That's not a good core. It's not good to play David Sills over 50% of the snaps in any game ever. So again, it just feels like we're at the last hours of Darius Slayton's Giants career.
Hope not. And I mean, I'm saying that because of the depth. Like if I knew that Kadarius Toney, Kenny Golladay, Sterling Shepard, Wan'Dale Robinson, if I knew that those 4 guys would be ready to rock and roll, ready to go, okay, Darius Slayton, we'll save the $2 million and goodbye. But the fact that Darius Slayton has a lot of NFL experience and he's somewhat reliable, dependable, great. I hope you're on
you
the
essentially
team.
don't have anybody that can take a top off of defense except for Tony, and that's not really the way Tony's ever succeeded either. Yeah. So you just don't have that. You don't have a guy who can be 6'1", can go up and get it and stack a corner and keep good speed.
Yeah.
You just don't have that, and that does change an offense. I don't care how big of drop rate Darius Slayton's had. I don't care how bad he is running a curl route. It's a loss. So I hope he's here too. I really do, because I don't value him more than a 6th-round pick that they could get back. I don't, and I know he has a $2.5 million cap hit. That's not a big cap hit. Okay, yeah. Like you're saving, if you cut him, you save 1.3 million cap space. That's what you're saving, because he has like 100,000 of dead cap. And then you got to remember it's replaced with another player. So it'll be like a guy with a $1.1 million contract, most likely. So you're saving, or maybe it's a rookie with 900,000. Yeah. But at the most, you're saving a 1.5 mil in cap space.
And also, and I come from the mindset of, I don't work for an NFL team. I never will work for an NFL team. I'm not that smart. But I come from the mindset of, what's the point of saving cap space once the draft is over and once free agency is over? Like, what's the point?
Well, the Giants do need cap to operate this season.
But like Darius Slayton, like that's all right. Whatever.
That's what I'm saying. Is it's not going to be the difference of them having to restructure Leonard Williams or not. Yeah. But they might have to restructure Leonard Williams at some point.
Extend Leonard Williams. I'm a fan of that. Bobby, I have 2 more offensive notes, and they're both can kind of be maybe meshed into one.
Go for it.
Daniel Bellinger, first explosive play that we saw him make in his NFL career. That was fun. Got a concussion a couple plays later. Joy. It was the second ball, so he caught a 25-yard pass and then 2 6-yard passes. I think the concussion came here I am, Twitter doctor. The concussion came on the first 6-yard catch, got really hit hard in the head, and then he made another 6-yard catch, and then he just didn't make a catch after that, and then he checked out of the game. So I think he was playing a little while with the concussion. There you go, Twitter doctor. Austin Allen, touchdown catch, maybe a conceptual thing you want to talk about, and then the fourth down and 4 play design to Deshaun Corbin, motions to the other side of Davis Webb. The 2 wide receivers run like a whip route that kind of serve as like a pick, and then Deshaun Corbin is open on the left sideline for a first down. So 2 conceptual things that worked.
So the Austin Allen touchdown was a form of 4 verts. And then you had the running back in the flat, which kept the flat defender honest to not carry Austin Allen the whole way. And it was a good throw by Davis Webb. And it was a touchdown for a guy who's not that fast, even though he did build up some good speed and on that play. So it's just, hey, that's something I've always talked about, is 4 verts is not just a play that's fun to run on Madden. It's a play that if you're running cover 2, if you're running cover 3, and you have someone that holds a flat defender or a match defender, it can be an easy big play. So that was nice. And then also, if you guys watch that breakdown I did with cover 1, we talked about the mesh concept, and that's something that Jason Garrett runs, something that Pat Shurmur ran. It's basically I just think of the word mesh, but it's like you have two receivers on opposite sides running a drag, and then you have a curl hook. It's meant to beat man coverage, and then you have the running back on the wheel route. So Davis Webb, that's the 20-yard pass on 4th down to Deshaun Corbin. The wheel route was open, but also on top of that, instead of running that regular mesh, the receivers turned those drag routes into whip routes. So again, if a defense knows like, hey, mesh might be a play they run on 3rd down, and they're like, all right, man coverage, mesh, full speed, get on your horse and go with those defenders or the receivers in man coverage. They sit on it, whip it out, and I just thought that was some good stuff. Again, simple preseason concepts, but just building on concepts. They're like, hey, these guys got a good read on our mesh. Let's run mesh whip or whatever they call it. So I like that. So good schematic stuff for Brian Daboll and the Giants offense.
Sit on it, whip it out, read an ad.
All right, let's talk about the defense. But first, I want to talk about SeatGeek. Today's episode is sponsored by SeatGeek. Live events are back, which means you could get $20 off at SeatGeek with promo code Giants. If you don't know what SeatGeek is, they're a ticketing app that makes you buying tickets super simple. We've got the apps on our phones. You know what? We got to stop reading the word. We got the apps on our. We have the app.
I have the app on my phone.
But they want us to scroll on the app, and it's like, no, we've got the apps on our phone. We don't need you to scroll.
Believe
Trust
us. We are men of good integrity.
Whether it's football, concerts, basketball, baseball, festivals, or more, SeatGeek puts tickets from all over the web in one place to make buying simple. SeatGeek rates every ticket from 0 to 10 to make sure you are getting a good deal. Green means good, red means bad. Every ticket on SeatGeek is backed by their buyer guarantee, so you can shop for tickets with confidence. By the way, we put out our vlog, and part of that was at the Yankee game.
Yes.
I was very disappointed that no one pointed out that before the Aaron Judge home run, I was sarcastically doing Derek Jeter. Like I thought that was something that probably no one found funny but myself. But it was just like Derek Jeter, and no one called it out.
Nope. I've been doing go to Yankees, hit a home run.
Don't worry, we've got to hook out. Use code Giants for $20 off tickets at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase with promo code Giants. Make sure you click in the link in the description to download the app. All right, let's talk about the defense.
Not much of it.
Do you want to start with positive or negative? So my question is, do you want to start with linebackers or cornerbacks?
Corners.
All right, so we're starting with the negative. Justin wants to start with the corners.
Yeah.
Again, Aaron Robinson was the only of the starters that started. He got targeted. He had a good pass breakup on one play, but he did get targeted a couple times. Gave some completions. Missed a tackle. That could have been a tackle for a loss. And that's one thing where it's like, man, I know you're in a bad situation on the outside, but you got to do those type of things. Like, we need you to make those type of plays. But we've had the Aaron Robinson conversation a million times. I don't want to beat that into the ground.
But what was significant is that in a world where Adoree Jackson goes down, it is going to be Aaron Robinson and Cordell Flott, and those were the two outside starting cornerbacks that we had today. Rodarius Williams has been missing for like the last month of camp or a couple weeks of camp, and I don't even know if he's going to make the team. He was the backup outside corner on the unofficial Giants depth chart a couple weeks ago, whatever purpose that serves. But I do think, an Adoree Jackson-less world is going to be Aaron Robinson and Cordell Flott on the outside, exactly what we were in today.
Or it could be Zion, like the starters today were Robinson, Zion Gilbert, and Flott. Flott played both inside and outside. Zion Gilbert, I didn't notice much of him, so I guess that was pretty decent. It's just the depth, man. Like Flott missed a tackle today, and
he missed a couple tackles.
Yeah, so that's not good. And then also, there's two guys in the cornerback room of depth that have played in the NFL, and that's Khalil Dorsey and Harrison Hand. Harrison Hand was just claimed this week, was burnt by Denzel Mims for a touchdown. Khalil Dorsey got a horrible defensive pass interference that led to them getting into the goal line, and then gave up the game-winning touchdown when they sent man coverage. Again, this is against backups, third stringers, and it's just like there's just no good answer. Like no. Zion Gilbert, undrafted free agent at FAU, is probably going to could start a game for the Giants this year. But I also think this has got to be a waiver wire position too. Like I think if there's one position that it's going to be working the waiver wires, it's going to be this position. So at the same time, I think our backup's not in the building right now.
Yeah, no, they've been in corners kind of all throughout too. But I mean, on a real note though, I know Cordell Flott's young. I know he's raw, and we all said these things about him heading into this season anyway, and that maybe he shouldn't play. But he was not good. He just didn't look comfortable. I mean, even in coverage, there were times where safeties had to bail him out a little bit. They got over, whether forced an incompletion or a quarterback just made a bad throw. Cordell Flott did not have a very good game. And on that first touchdown, too, that went to Berrios, missed that tackle, goes up the left sideline, and, touchdown Jets 7-3. What was it?
Side note, I love Braxton Berrios. But yeah, he missed
10-3.
That could have been a tackle at the line of scrimmage, 3rd and 10, and they converted for 6.
Yep.
So it's like those are plays that will haunt you as a New York Giants player. But again, I'm not going to be mad at Flott for not being good this year. I'm not going to be.
But the hope for this defense, Bobby, is that Wink Martindale is just gonna fuck with bad quarterbacks' heads. I mean, that's the
hope.
Did
it with Joe Flacco today.
And there's a lot of there's a lot of bad quarterbacks on the schedule. There was even a 3rd and 10 where no defenders had their hands in the ground and 4 guys were lined up on the left side of the line, and it was a huge 3rd and 10. And I think it wound up being a stop for the Giants defense. And that was an amoeba. And can I help me out here? An amoeba. It was an amoeba look that some of the reporters were describing that the Giants showed during the joint practice this week, where there were a couple plays where Giants defenders, nobody had their hands on the ground. There were no interior defensive linemen on the field, yada, yada, yada. So hopefully that's the hope. Like week 1 against Ryan, I don't consider Ryan Tannehill to be a fantastic quarterback. Baker Mayfield, not a fantastic quarterback. Drew Lock is on the schedule. So hopefully these quarterbacks that we're going to play, Wink Martindale is just going to fuck with their heads, just get them so scared shitless about what's coming in front of them. And then guys like Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott are just going to tear us apart. And I think we have to just
maybe not
that.
Dak now that Tyron Smith is gone.
Oh, true. Maybe we'll see.
I don't want to get too excited. Could you imagine like Dak Prescott to Darius Slayton week 3 Monday Night Football?
Oh, that'll hurt.
That would hurt a lot. That would really hurt a lot. Because Slayton, even through all shortcomings, he's just. You like homegrown guys, and Slayton's been a homegrown guy. It would just break my heart.
I also have this too. Let's move to the safeties. Trenton Thompson, solid game tackling, I think. But
he may have given up a touchdown. It's hard to see from the TV angle.
Again, in coverage, it's suspect, and that was his UDFA report coming out anyway, that he's a physical tackler. He's a physical player, but in coverage, question mark. Yusuf Corker. Same kind of scouting report, except Yusuf Corker missed a couple tackles today. You can't convince me that Andrew Adams...
It's not about this year. We want to play the young guys.
Andrew Adams does not...
It's the young guy. We're playing the young guys. It's not about winning this year.
Which that I also
we're not winning this year. It's about playing the young guys.
I can't stand that take either, because Andrew Adams on the team is going to limit the development of these UDFAs.
No, that's the thing. It's like Andrew Adams being on the team does not limit anybody. Like if those guys are better and can outperform,
it's not about this. And I got this today, which this was a thing that I got really upset about earlier in the offseason. It's not about this year. It's not about this year. I guarantee you, people that are working in an NFL building are not just throwing the towel in on a season. They're not
cutting Andrew Adams because it's not about this year. This guy's going to... So, anyways, I don't really... At the end of the day, it's Andrew Adams, so it's... It's not something I'm going to be raging about, but it's that is weird. And again, Yusuf Corker probably is not even going to make the roster anyways. They're probably going to give it to Nate Meters. He played over Yusuf Corker today. He's been playing over him consistently.
Yeah.
So,
whatever.
But I did. Yusuf Corker missed some tackles, but I thought he does look good, comfortable in the box.
Yeah.
He set the edge on a couple. Man, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself. So, I guess this can transition into the linebacker talk because I thought the linebackers were the best performers of the day. That 4th down and 1 was one of the best run fits I've ever seen on a 4th down and short running situation.
Yeah, tell me about it.
So it was so beautiful. So you have all these guys lined up in the middle. You got your linebackers. You got your edge players. You got Yusuf Corker down on the edge too. All of the inside guys, like the D lineman, even Timon Fox and Quincy Roche, slant in. They slant in and close up those A and B gaps, and the running back's trying to get to like a B, C gap read, I believe. Austin Calitro reads it correctly. He plays it to that, and then the running back cuts it back. And Yusuf Corker's able to get around the edge, grabs the legs. Calitro, nice, stands him up. And then Quincy Roche, who was part of the, stopping the one side, comes over and then pushes and makes sure he doesn't fall forward, because it very easily could have been a fall forward. I mean, that was, man, I guarantee you that's Wink Martindale's favorite play of the game, was that 4th and 1 stop. The way that was just one of the best team run fits I've ever seen. Like, that was some beautiful stuff. And Corker had his hand in it. Austin Calitro had his hand in it. And Quincy Roche with the extra effort to get in it. But here's my question. Is Austin Calitro playing himself a roster spot? Because right now, Blake, Tay Crowder, and Micah McFadden are 3 inside linebackers. He's definitely over Cam Brown and Carter Coughlin on the linebacker depth chart, but those guys are specials. And Cam Brown's definitely going to make the roster on special teams. I mean, he's had a good preseason. He had the interception week 1. He's looked fine in the run game. Today, he had the pick 6, which was not just Joe Flacco made a dumb throw. Like, he saw that running back leak out, got underneath it, flipped his head, kept his eyes on the QB, and turned that into 6. He had a tackle for a loss. Fumble recovery, I'm not going to give him a ton of credit for that bad fight. Like, he looked good. Like, he's a better linebacker than Cam Brown and Carter Coughlin, too. So it'd be interesting if a guy who was brought in the first couple days of camp and the Darian Beavers, I think he might get his way onto the roster.
Trying to see if I can find my notes for our 53-man roster predictions, because, I have it right here. How many interior linebackers? I had 6 interior linebackers on my depth chart. And because I only had 4 defensive linemen.
They're going to carry 5 D linemen.
Which I know we disagreed on that. If the Giants want, because again, it's about a numbers game, Bobby. It's about a numbers game where I don't know if you can fit Blake, Tay, Cam Brown, and
it essentially would be Carter Coughlin or him, and keeping the 5th. You're not going to keep 6, so it's like, do they value Carter Coughlin's special teams?
I guess they can. Which I would hope that they would. Calitro over Carter Coughlin. I feel kind of confident about that.
I mean, it's just, he had a really good preseason, and it was consistent, so.
He's the new Nico Leilos, except I think he's just better than Nico Leilos.
Yeah. But, and again, he had that part of that 4th down run stop. Like, he played really well today, but I also could see him getting cut and being like, I know people are mad because he had a great preseason, but also, he's also Calitro. Like, he's bounced around 7-8 rosters.
Yeah.
Like,
tough. Interior defensive lineman.
I want to start with the linebackers. Micah McFadden.
You're not done.
4 tackles, had the forced fumble, had a tackle for a loss. Looked good. Tay Crowder looks so much better next to Blake Martinez. I'm really interested to see how Tay Crowder looks next to Blake this year, because it's like, he was a guy we were excited about, and then Blake Martinez goes down, and he's a guy who we're not excited about after that, which I guess does speak to him as a player too. But hey, we're not, beggars can't be choosers with this Giants roster right now. Yeah.
So the McFadden had some iffy plays in there, but I mean, the good plays are really good. So that's fun. I'm excited to see what he can do. And especially I'm excited to see him rush the passer. Like, that's what I want to see, a Micah McFadden QB hit that has an impact on the game. And I especially want to see a Micah McFadden sack relatively early on the season. That'd be really fun.
Yeah, I'm excited for him. Part of me still does worry, like, how does that translate into regular season play with McFadden? But he's definitely he's a very fun and exciting player, and I thought he had a successful preseason. All right, well, you wanted to talk about D-line?
Yeah, interior D-line. I thought the 3 guys that are kind of battling it out right now, Jalen Holmes. I think the first play of the game, Jalen Holmes had a really good play. Nick Williams had a tackle for loss on a swim.
Jalen Holmes got concussed too.
The 2, of course, you make a good play, you have a good game, you get concussed. It's a theme. It's a theme of the last week. Justin Ellis, most impressed by him though, even though he didn't make the flashiest of plays compared to Jalen Holmes and Nick Williams. The 2 plays before the cilantro interception, Calitro, some may call him. The 2 plays, 1st and 10, Justin Ellis, impressive run stop. controls his guy, flows with the ball, flows with the line, makes the run stop, brings a guy down. And it's all himself, too. Wasn't a gang tackle, all himself. Justin Ellis does that work. Second down, 2nd and 10, 2nd and 11. Dump off to the right-hand side of right-hand side of the field. Justin Ellis, big man, 350-some pounds, runs, sprints, helps make a tackle to set up a 3rd and 3. Lo and behold, Wink Martindale is able to bring a 3rd down set. Joe Flacco throws the interception. Giants are leading. Giants are winning the game at the moment. So 2 huge plays back-to-back by Justin Ellis. So it's pretty big. Justin Ellis, we're not really having the biggest of expectations like that, but if Ellis can come in when he is in the game and make plays like that, stop the run and show a little bit of heart, show a little bit of hustle, that's cool.
Other thing, this guy's not going to make the 53, but I'm excited for him, and I think eventually he might turn into Ryder Anderson. Man, had a couple good plays. I actually went back and listened to our breakdown of him on the Andrew Thomas episode, and it's like, oh, we get a little pat on the back. Like we said, like you got to move this guy inside. He's got the size for inside. He doesn't have the get off that you can for to play edge in the NFL, but he's got long arms that can extend and shed, and that's kind of what he's done. Like he's had gone from the last undrafted free agent signed. Like they signed 15 undrafted free agents before they signed him, and a successful preseason for him. Do you want to talk about edge before we close it out and maybe read some dumb tweets? Roche had some plays that don't show up in the depth chart, but
the box score.
The box score. I was hoping for more flash from Quincy Roche. I will say that.
Yeah, we needed like a 2-sack game from Quincy Roche, so therefore when he's cut, we can have outrage. We didn't get that.
But at the same point, O'Shane Zimenez was playing in the 4th quarter and didn't do anything. He had a QB hit today, but it was on a boot where he was unblocked. It was actually a pretty hard hit too, but again, Quincy Roche belongs on there. I actually think Roche might make it though because of Kayvon Aziz and Ellerson are all injured right now. So
if that's the path, then that's the path. Jihad Ward did a somersault after the Jets had a false start, and I hope he does more of those.
Yeah. Well, that's if we're losing and he does a somersault, it's like, get this clown off my team. If we're winning, it's very cool.
Ugh.
All right, anything else before we read some dumb tweets?
Can I talk about DraftKings?
DraftKings. Go ahead then.
I want to. I haven't read a DraftKings ad in a long freaking time, and the wait is almost over. A new football season is about to begin. Get ready for the NFL Week 1 action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. To celebrate the return of football, DraftKings is giving new customers a can't-miss offer. Bet just $5 on any football game and get $200 in free bets instantly. Want more action for opening night? Everyone could experience the thrill of DraftKings early win promotion. Get up to 7, you win. Bet on an NFL team of your choice, and if your team leads by 7 points at any point during the game, you get paid instantly, even if your team loses. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code JOMBOY to get $200 in free bets instantly when you place a $5 bet on any football game. That's code JOMBOY, JOMBOY at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Minimum age eligibility restrictions will apply. See show notes for details.
All right, let's read some dumb tweets. This guy show up on the chat on my timeline all the time. He's a Steelers radio guy. Andrew Filipponi.
Yes.
If Tyrod Taylor's injury is serious and the Giants offered the Steelers a 3rd round pick for Mr. Trubisky right now, would you make the trade? I mean, he says the most delusional stuff about the Steelers.
Yes.
And then why? And the stupid NFL rumors page, which is obviously just some literal kid who's just making stuff up and guessing and reporting other information as his own. Why do people keep trying to do the Mitchell Trubisky to the Giants thing? Why would a team with no cap space trade a 3rd round pick, or let alone a 7th round pick, or a 7th round pick, let alone a 3rd round pick, for Mitchell Trubisky, who's not good? Like, well, the Giants were, they wanted to get Mitch Trubisky. Yes, as the backup. And then they signed Tyrod Taylor to a big backup QB contract. How hard is it for people to get this through their brain that the Giants are not going to trade for a quarterback? Why would they trade for a quarterback, and especially Mitch Trubisky? Like, I just don't know how you can, like, have a blue check or whatever and say that. Every time it's like, how dumb are you? Like,
Did the Steelers announce Mitchell Trubisky as the starter yet?
Mitchell Trubisky is going to be the starter. He started all 3 preseason games.
By like week 3 or 4, Kenny Pickett's going to start.
They should start Kenny Pickett, but it's just crazy. Is there any other dumb? I didn't save any more because both of them are.
There were a couple dumb tweets from Talking Giants today, and apologies to anybody that has Twitter notifications on and saw some quickly deleted tweets. One of them, I tweeted Yusuf Corker made a tackle. He definitely didn't make the tackle. NFL.com lied to me. And then we also both tweeted Tyrod is down at the exact same time. Deleted that. But shout out Danny. I took over today. I'm happy to take over any time that Danny's using Roman in his dorm room.
Yeah, those tweets were full of energy.
Yeah. They could have used some more. It was probably me just watching a pitiful football game.
Well, I didn't realize how far behind you were. I was like, this is like, I thought you were like talking like 45 seconds behind. I was like, no, this was 4 minutes ago.
Yeah, that's the pain of cable or no cable. But shout out Stream East for keeping me sane on Sundays. Also, another dumb tweet that I have way too many friends send me, and it makes me so angry, is that graphic that's floating around, I think from last preseason game, of like Josh Allen and Daniel Jones side by side stats that are like the same. And my friends are like, is this true? He's got Brian Dable. It's like, no, it's not true. You have eyeballs. If you watch both of them play, one of them is good. One of them is not very good.
Well, the difference is that Josh Allen was horrendous his first year and then got better his second year and then popped off his third year. Where Jones had some really good numbers his rookie year and was good. And then the past 2 years have been average. And with below average numbers, and it's like, this is just totally different. And it's like, there's just stuff Josh Allen can do that Daniel Jones can't. Here's something. Do you think the Tua hate is just over the top? Like, it's just like everyone just realizes you can get interaction with Tua hate?
Yes, but I also think it's funny because it's like, it's only with Tua. Like, I love that Mac Jones video. And I love all the Tua stands saying, like, if this was Tua, it would be everywhere, because that's 100% accurate.
Every fan base does that, like, thinks everyone's picking on them. The Dolphins fans are right, though. Like, they have all the right in the world to be like, they hate us. Because they hate Tua completed a 55-yard pass, but because it wasn't Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, it was, this loser. It's like, you know how many times there's an air yard of over 50-yard pass for most quarterbacks in the NFL? Like 1, maybe 2 a year. Like, that's not real life. And Tyreek Hill's not a guy who is like, he can take the top off, but that's not necessarily what he does.
Yeah, there's no quarterback in the history of the league that could have a highlight like that 50-yard throw to Tyreek, and have equally as many people tweeting that it was a bad throw. As
there was more so people. It's
it
just
was crazy.
Like, it's been like the cool thing on the internet is to hate on Tyreek Hill or Tua. It's like, can you guys relax?
However,
I blame PFF because every time that they have a "can you stop this offense" tweet, everybody's just like Tua.
I do, a small selfish part of me wants Tua to be bad because my brother and I coined the phrase Tua turned the ball over when he first came into the league. And
that's funny.
I would really love that to catch on.
Okay.
So I'm rooting for him to be good because of how much people are going at him. So this is the end of the podcast, so I want people to know, like, we're not going to give you... Okay, so since we're getting stuff off our chest that we hate about Twitter, and Justin, I want to ask you this more. The way people hate Zach Hempel, the foul ball guy, is so over the top. It is flat out bullying, and all these people who talk about mental health and shit are flat out bullying Zach Hempel because he's a little bit of a weird dude. And listen, like, if you're not familiar with this, I'm sorry, but he got mad at the Rockies because they did single him out, which I understand being mad about, but it's like the usher don't get mad at the usher, but he wasn't like going crazy on him. He's just like, man, this sucks. Like everyone else is allowed to move it. Yes. Is he a guy who's in his adult who is chasing around, but he's having fun and he's making money off of it and getting baseballs and going to baseball games. Like, that's a fun living. And the internet just treats him like he's the worst person on earth. And then when that stupid ass Braves mascot literally is smashing kids into the ground, it's like, ooh, we love Blooper. But Zach Hampel, they make up that he tramples over kids and stuff. It's like, and he gives away the balls to the kids, and he's always swarmed by kids who want to have his autograph and stuff.
Yeah, I've never seen the whole, like, oh, does he trample over kids to get balls
It's
and
not
stuff
true.
like
There's
that?
one clip of him from a couple years ago where he does run down and he catches a ball that a kid's got his glove up for. And again, like I don't think he's like. It's part of me like I would never do that. Yeah, but people treat him like he's a horrible person, and people in our company too. And I kind of want to like bully them. Like, you want to feel, you know what it feels like to be bullied? I'll bully you. Like they go at him so hard. Like, I feel bad for the guy because all he's doing is just trying to catch foul balls and make videos and sign autographs for kids, and people just treat him like he's like he's the Bills punter.
Like I saw what did I see? I saw somebody say that, oh, but the fact that he's catching a ball is taking away the experience of somebody else catching the ball. It's like, really, this is,
and kids don't
that's where
catch
we're
the
going.
ball. They almost never catch the ball in their glove. It's a wild, and he gives the balls away to the kids.
And he teaches kids how to catch balls on his YouTube videos too. Like, he's infinitely cooler than adult autograph people. Like, I get that it's weird that you're catching foul balls at whatever age, but like, he's not
a bad person. People treat him like he's a bad person. He's a little weird.
I bet more kids at baseball games know him than they do like a lot of the players on the field as well.
The kids
like,
love him.
Famous, yeah.
It's literally losers on Twitter, adults who are just love to hate stuff, and it's groupthink. That's the part of Twitter that I just hate the most. Anyways.
There you go. Get it off your chest.
All right, that's an episode. So we'll have player profiles and projections this week. We got Xavier McKinney, Saquon, Daniel Jones.
Last week
of player profiles and projections. We will be back with a 53-man roster reaction and waiver claims. We'll probably do that we'll try and get that done. You know what? That'll be out on Friday because we want to watch all the guys that they signed. So, but I'll have a YouTube reaction out to some of this stuff too. So you'll see us on social media. So we appreciate you guys. It's been a fun preseason. I'm pumped, man. We have 2 more regular episodes until it's a game preview with Danny King. We've got the 53-man roster reaction and then a mailbag to start next week. And then we're previewing the Titans game. We're going to be talking about the matchup. We're going to be giving an interview, and then we're going to do our segment. So I'm excited. So we appreciate you guys. Thanks for sticking around this preseason. We'll see you tomorrow. Until then, let's go Big Blue.